You know, the subject of this committee really is looking at terrorism, et cetera. The facility, by virtue of being designed for external threats besides security, terrorism, hurricanes, floods, earthquakes, et cetera, that in itself helps make the facility very secure. And if you want, we can give you a quick overview of what's going on in Japan, but that's strictly optional based on time.
Can you just explain that point? Because there are some very real differences between Japan, what happened in Japan, and in the Hudson Valley. And I think that should be, it's on the forefront of a lot of people's minds, and I think it would be time well spent.
Yeah, absolutely. I can do that, digress from the program a little bit, but fundamentally, Indian Point is a very different designed reactor than the reactor at Fukushima. I myself held a senior operating license on a unit similar to Fukushima, and I've also held a senior operating license on a unit similar to Indian Point. Very different designs. Specifically, the design of Indian Point is what's called a pressurized water reactor. It's the type of reactor that the Navy uses. It's obviously, if you think about the uses in the Navy, how it's used in submarines, is the type of reactor certainly that can take a lot of pounding, if I may use that word, okay? And you couple that with the design features of other design features of a pressurized water reactor, that makes that a very robust design from the standpoint of being able to deal with consequence. Additionally, everyone has seen on television the enormous pictures of the explosion of the enclosure building. That's a hydrogen explosion. One of the things that Indian Point has as a design feature, and all pressurized water reactors have as a design feature in the United States, is what's called a hydrogen recombiner. A hydrogen recombiner would take, in the event of catastrophic fuel failure, the hydrogen that's inside the containment building, and everybody knows those robust concrete structures, and recombine that with oxygen back into water. Boiling water reactors do not have that design feature. I can go on, but that's the, 100,000-foot answer, okay? There's 104 nuclear reactors in the United States. It really stops the, really is equivalent in reduction of greenhouse gases, nearly equivalent to basically all the passenger cars. So you can see the value that nuclear power brings to the U.S. as it relates to greenhouse gas reduction. Additionally, if you were to compare life cycle emissions in terms of tons of carbon dioxide per equivalent, a nuclear power plant releases less carbon dioxide than a hydro facility, than solar facility, than biomass. And if you take a look at coal and natural gas, very, very high. So we have a wonderful graph that I would urge the committee members to take a look at, but it's very illustrative of how effective nuclear power is in helping us with global climate change. Additionally, the cost, we are the lowest cost producer. We're better than natural gas, better than coal, better than petroleum, et cetera. So we are the low cost, secure, and certainly low environmental impact. And as a matter of fact, in New York State, Indian Point itself supplies, and I think this is a vital statistic, Senator, Indian Point supplies between 18 and 35% of the electricity for downstate New York. What are you going to do? Where is that power going to come from if Indian Point is closed?
Can we just quickly follow up on a point that I want to, because you see, just like in any of these issues, there are those in elected office and otherwise that are seeking to get press. And explain this to me if I'm wrong. But right now, Indian Point has spent fuel pools.
That's correct.
Spent fuel. In the United States, we do not allow that spent fuel to be recycled, correct?
Absolutely. And that's a travesty, Senator. That's my personal opinion.
France, that conservative authoritarian regime, France, allows that fuel to be recycled.
That's correct.
Correct. And that was by presidential directive that wasn't allowed that to be recycled under Carter, I believe.
That's correct.
And it could be by presidential directive, you could allow that fuel to be recycled, which would take care of 98% of the waste.
That's correct.
So if we were to shut down Indian Point, we don't have, not this committee, that's above our pay grade, but if it were to be shut down tomorrow, that spent fuel would still exist in those pools at Indian Point with no place to go.
A significant subset of that fuel would be moved into casks and installed upon a pad at Indian Point. That has been approved. However, there would be some fuel that would remain in the pools. That's correct.
So the very nature of the threat as perceived by those who are suggesting the shutdown of the plant, which would cost thousands of jobs and which would increase energy rates exponentially, would not be solved.
That's correct, and it would have a detrimental impact on the environment. in terms of the replacement power sources.
Thank you.
Absolutely, yep.
Thank you.